Hey everyone, it's Monday, March 2nd. March Madness is here. Da 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 da. MI Sports Talk YouTube channel back on the air for the first time this March. I cannot wait to show you guys this bracket. It's kind of more formal this time, but we have Kansas in the Midwest region. They took the #1 overall seed, so we'll really see what happens there, and we'll see if they keep having momentum during the Big 12 tournament, but I have them definitely going far again as a hint, so without any further ado, let's begin. In the East region, San Diego State is the third number one seed, so they will definitely beat Montana. And then I think Oklahoma, with their premier tournament experience, I think they will beat St. Mary's. But that's a very good 8 versus 9 matchup, and both those teams have potential on making a good run in the NCAA tournament. But I see San Diego State just with their athleticism, and they're ready just to make a run in the NCAA tournament even without Steve Fisher there. They're just having a sensational season, and they're going to continue to have a sensational season by going to the Sweet 16. And then we have Auburn and East Tennessee State. I thought picking East Tennessee State, but Auburn was in the Final Four last year, and that's going to come down to the end. But Auburn has a more of a momentum challenge if the season ended today, so I will take them there. And they'll take Lamar Stevens and Penn State to beat a tough Vermont team. And Vermont's definitely been close to some teams in the NCAA tournament, but I don't see that happening so far. So we'll have Penn State there, and then I'll also have Penn State beating reigning champion, reigning Elite Eight champ Auburn from I think the South region, but it's the one wherever they beat Kentucky. So the reigning Final Four representative is out of the tournament this year from Penn State. So, yep. So then early on we have Penn State and San Diego State, but after a while Penn State's Cinderella run's going to come to an end just because of San Diego State, just because of their talent, just because they're really ready to tear it on the NCAA tournament. I think Penn State's just going to really have a tough time with their athleticism because it's one of the best in the country, truly, if you watch them. You're truly going to pick them to go far in the brackets just because they are tournament ready. They truly are proving the nation that they are. Illinois and Northern Iowa. Northern Iowa, that's definitely been falling off the radar recently, so I'll definitely take Illinois there just because they continue to keep playing well, and they beat Michigan State, and that keeps turning momentum to them, so that's going to be a big win for them to win a game in the tournament. And then I'll take Jay Wright's Villanova squad to beat Hofstra, and then they will eventually eliminate Illinois because Illinois is still a 6th seed, so congrats to them on being in, but I don't think they'll make it any further past the second round just because they're not quite there yet, maybe a few years, but yep, not quite. And I'll take Marcus Howard and Marquette to at least pull out one game, but Indiana is tough in the Big Ten, so I'm hoping Howard at least wins one in the tournament, but won't be any more than that because I didn't watch the game Saturday. But my brother and mom said that were at the Marquette game Saturday. They didn't even say it, but I don't even think it was that entertaining when they lost to Seton Hall. It looks like it didn't even come down to the wire or anything. So I do not see Marquette going far because of their inconsistency. Losing both the Hauser brothers, it's very unfortunate to say, but they're not going far this year. So yep, let's go down there. I'll have them winning one game, but then I'll eventually have them eliminated to OV Topping in Dayton. And then brings a matchup of a past national champion, Villanova, versus Dayton. But I have Dayton going to the Elite Eight just because OV Topping is one of the best players in the nation. I keep hearing, and I'm yet to watch him, but once I do watch him, I think I'm truly going to think that. So I think they're going to beat Villanova just because they've lost a lot of players from the national championship team a few years ago, and they also lost to Purdue last year in the tournament. So after a while, I think they're gonna continue to go south in this tournament, and so Dayton will be your first East Regional champion for this year, and that East Regional is in New York, so they would take it home from New York, and they would beat #1 San Diego State. So, and Gonzaga will beat Prairie View A&M and Siena. Florida will definitely beat USC because of the premier tournament experience. Ohio State will beat Stephen F. Austin, a very tough 5 versus 12 matchup. But with Ohio State, Washington, one of Ohio State's best players, just manhandling Michigan yesterday. He just was a stud, and I think they're a team that can really make some noise and momentum in this tournament. So I'll still have them beating Stephen F. Austin. I call that an upset because Stephen F. Austin did beat Duke, so I kind of think that's an upset if Ohio State just really pours it on in the tournament when Stephen F. Austin wants momentum. So that's a tough game, but I just had to take what I thought there, so we'll take them to win. And then Oregon will also beat a tough New Mexico State team that almost beat Auburn last year in the first round. So both those tough teams and for the 12 versus 13 seeds will be out. So Payne Pritchard and Oregon have been kind of inconsistent anyway. Like I said, how impressed I was with Ohio State. Even as a Michigan fan, I will have them go to the Sweet 16. And I will also have them beat Mark Few's Gonzaga squad. So I really know how far they could get in this tournament. I truly do, folks. So keep that as a red note in this tournament, that you really can pick your team and they could really go far, and it could really update your bracket either in a good way or a bad way. So sometimes it's worth taking risk in the bracket challenges you guys are in. So yep, that's where I have them going. So. And then Butler I think will lose to Texas Tech because Chris Baird's squad's ready for the tournament, and Butler has been very inconsistent lately, and they haven't been in the tournament in a long time. It was a little bit since they left the Horizon League. They haven't been in the tournament in so long, and I don't think and Brad Stevens isn't there anymore. Just not what they used to be. They truly aren't that Cinderella like they were that one year against Duke and UConn. Just truly not. So we'll take them to get upset early, but then I'll have Kentucky with John Calipari's squad eliminating the reigning national champion runner-up Texas Tech. Then Houston will beat Stanford, and then I think Florida State will beat Belmont, and Belmont almost beat Maryland. I had them going to the Sweet 16 last year. I was kind of bummed out when they lost that game to Maryland, but they will not pull out any upsets this year, as them being in the 15th seed and Florida State's athleticism. It will get to them, and I think Kentucky will also be your regional champion for the West region. That's in Los Angeles again. It feels like the West regional final is always in Los Angeles. I don't know. I might want some reasoning or explanation on that. So comment down below on why you would think it's usually in Los Angeles. So that's very interesting to me, by the way. But anyway, we will take Kentucky to win that one. So Dayton and Kentucky will be in the Final Four there. And then I have Kansas in the Midwest region. I have Kansas and Arizona. And I think Arizona will have enough to beat LSU. They'll have enough to beat LSU. And LSU is missing Tremont Waters. And I think Arizona just is due to have at least one win in the tournament. But then Uzabake and Kansas will definitely defeat them after a while. BYU, I had a tough time not picking Akron. But BYU just has size. They have talent. And they're really gearing up for the tournament. But Liberty and Michigan State, I don't see Michigan State after beating Maryland by a ton the other night. I don't see them losing to Liberty. I don't see them losing to many teams till they run into the Kentuckys or the Kansases and that. But they could at least make a few games run in the tournament if they don't win a lot in the Big Ten tournament. So I will take Michigan State in that one, and then they will also be the tough BYU team, like I said, just because they are on a great streak right now. And then that will bring up a matchup of Michigan State and Kansas, but I don't see Cassius Winston, unfortunately, pulling it out against Kansas. Much as I would like to see them pull it out, I still hope they do it. They play Kansas, but Kansas will move on just because of their talent, and this is one of their years they could actually win it all instead of getting upset early, because they are prone to do well this year, and I'm the big believer in Kansas, so... And then Wisconsin, I think, will beat Providence. And then I think they will also upset Duke. Duke will obviously beat Little Rock. But I think they will definitely have a big chance to upset Duke because they have Potter and they have Aline Ford, and they have so many playmakers from watching them quite a bit this season to really win a few big games in the tournament. So I see them going to the Sweet 16. And then they'll give them a date with Seton Hall. So Seton Hall would first beat Colgate, and then they would beat a very tough Wichita State team. And I have Michigan. As a Michigan fan, I'm not impressed. And they lost to Ohio State yesterday. They lost to Ohio State twice. They lost to Wisconsin, even though they shot better. It just doesn't matter. They're very inconsistent. They're not tournament ready, and they're going to be eliminated to a Cinderella sensation Wichita State team. But Wichita State won't have enough to beat Seton Hall, as cool as that would be. They will not have enough to beat Miles Powell. And then Miles Powell, Wisconsin, will not match up with him as well, I don't think, as most people would think. So I think Seton Hall will eliminate the Badgers, and their fairly Cinderella run will come to an end. So the last time they made the Sweet 16 was in 2016, and then they lost to Notre Dame. So That would be big if Wisconsin made it that far. And then that brings up a date between Kansas and Seton Hall. Ovi Topping versus Utabalke. I cannot believe this will be a good matchup. This will be a college basketball fan's dream matchup, but Kansas, just because they are the number 1 overall seed, they had the most experience, but this will come down to the overtime, and I think this will be a buzzer beater for Utabalke, and I think Kansas will be your regional champions for the Midwest region, and I think that's in Indianapolis, so this is actually a really fun region this time if it ended today, so this was a fun part to pick, especially with a couple notable upsets. But in the South region, we have Baylor and Radford. And then we have Xavier beating Arizona State. Baylor obviously beat Radford, going back to that. But, yeah, I think Xavier's too good for Arizona State. Arizona State was bubble for like 2-3 weeks in a row. And I think Xavier, with them being in the Big East, the Big East is definitely legit this year. And they have a good chance of pulling out against Baylor too. But I don't see that happening. So I'll take Baylor there to play it on the safe end. And I have Texas beating Iowa. Jordan Bohannon's still hurt, and without Luka Garza, that team's just not really getting anywhere. They're looking like an NIT team if they didn't have Garza. I'm dead serious from watching them. They're just not consistent like they used to be. And then I think Yale will beat Louisville because Louisville's definitely been inconsistent as well. So we got 2 upsets in this region, and I've been definitely picking some fair picks, but this is truly the region where I'm picking upsets. And Texas with Shaka Smart, and he's still there. I think they will make a run to the Elite Eight, and they will beat in-state. They will beat their in-state Baylor Bears, and Baylor is due to lose sometime because they did lose to Kansas, and they have lost a few to lower teams like early on in the season. So I see Texas beating them. So. And then West Virginia, I think, will lose to UCLA. The UCLA has been on a huge winning streak, and West Virginia hasn't been in the tournament since about 2013, 2014. So we will take UCLA there, but then Creighton will eventually eliminate them for their Cinderella game. And I think Creighton's just too good. Like I said, the Big East is just a true powerhouse, and I think Creighton will definitely show North Texas what they got, and then it will be the next game. So. And I like what Colorado's been doing, but they're down to a 7th seed. They've lost I think 3 out of the last 4, so I don't think after Virginia they can get by Maryland because Maryland's just a good team. They have one of the best players in the Big Ten, and I think there'll be too much for Colorado since they are falling off their highs in a little bit. And then Creighton will advance to Elite Eight. They will punch their ticket by beating Maryland because Maryland got killed by Michigan State, and they also lost to LSU on a buzzer beater last year. So for postseason play for Maryland, I don't really see them going this far this year, even with a good team they have this year. I just don't see it happening. So congrats, Creighton, because you will be going to the Elite Eight, and then you will also be going to the Final Four. So we will have 2 teams in the Final Four. Yeah, we will have one Big East team in the Final Four. I know I had Seton Hall last time in the Final Four for last week, if you guys remember that. But we will have another Big East representative for Creighton. So Frank McDermott's team will be playing against Kansas, which would be a heck of a Final Four matchup. Auburn was in as a 4 seed when they played Virginia last year. And I think it will be just as good as that. It could come down to the end, but I see Kansas making it as another number 1 seed, even though they're number 1 overall seed. I'm just so sold on Kansas this year, and I think they will have enough to beat Creighton by the time they get to the Final Four. They're just going on. Bill Self's going to say to them, let's just keep the run going. It's the NCAA tournament. Yeah, this is win or lose, and it's do or die. So I think Kansas will have that one there, and they will move on to the championship game, and then this one's Dayton and Kentucky against John Calipari's squad. But I think with OV Topping and Dayton's really becoming a consistent college basketball powerhouse team, I think they will have enough to beat Kentucky, which I think they will be awesome if they beat Kentucky truly. And I will have Dayton as a fairly upset national championship representative. I will have them in against Kansas, and I think the number 1 overall seed, I think it's a big, big risk right now, but this bracket's at least a mock one. It's just for fun, and I think Kansas will be your 2020 national champions. I picked them for the 3rd time, I think, in these tournament editions, so I'm just a big believer in Kansas, and they're showing to the nation why they are number 1, and they did almost lose to Kansas State with Bruce Weber's squad, but they just showed that they're persevering by winning from those close margin games, and they're gonna pull this one out in this one. So Yep, stay tuned for the rest of the week. I have a lot of fun daily coverage going on for the March Madness, and then later on this afternoon, I'm going to do another projection from the ESPN tournament challenge from Joe Lenardi. It's not the challenge, but just his weekly projection. So I'll do another one for fun, and I'll explain in that video the schedule of what tournaments I'll be running, especially with conference tournaments and all that coming up. So hope everyone has a great rest of their day, and see you guys next time on the MI Sports Talk YouTube channel.